Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Talking about 2 episodes that came out this year of Abbott Elementary. We had actually done an Abbott Elementary episode when season 4 launched.
Yeah, this is a very quick turnaround. We do not usually do shows this quickly.
But the fact that they did 2, like a double episode in one night Christmas thing, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I was like, we should. I mean, look, I'm going to put this much out there. As far as visual content, as far as when I look at the things that we watched for this podcast this year of Hot Frosty, Red One, I think there's another one I'm forgetting, Dear Santa.
Dear Santa.
This, I think, was the best of those 4 options.
Listen.
It's also the shortest of those 4 options. But
yeah, I think combined, it's the shortest of those 4 options. And, I mean, it didn't really have a lot of competition here. I mean, not the Christmas releases for 2024 were not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, we usually try to avoid, like early on we did all 3 community Christmas episodes.
God, I'm still so angry at myself.
Yeah.
We
usually try to do like
clear them out.
Yeah, we try to do like individual episodes, but this honestly is like a 2-part episode. Like the first half leads into the second half, so it kind of makes sense. So we're going to start talking about season 4, episode 7, Winter Show.
Yes.
Which this one, I mean, my first note just says, Dylan, you know that I loved every second of this opening where they're just all rapping to Christmas in Hollis in front of a bunch of kids who have no clue what is happening.
It's so funny. Like, I've lived this moment multiple times in my career.
And I think what I like about it is there's that moment where even Ava, who like usually is the cool,
hateful towards them too.
Yeah,
and thinks
can't
she's
resist.
Too cool for them.
Yeah, can't resist running in there to continue rapping Christmas in Hollis.
It's so good.
So the focus of this episode is 3 things basically.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob and his brother showing up. You have Melissa trying to find a place to store all of the food for her family party, and Barbara kind of misguided, but also very sweetly deciding that they can't do a Christmas show anymore. They're going to do a winter show because she's sad that one of her students cannot participate.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's beautiful, and it ends beautifully with the family like thanking her for everything that she did to let her one child fit in. But it is also at the absolute just pains everybody else who cannot do anything.
Yeah, like it results, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but it results in her writing her own song for the pageant, and the kids write their own song for the pageant. And I just love how as the episode goes on and on, Barb keeps changing shit, and finally it just ends with her being like, you know what? This year, Miss Barb's just gonna have to sing the song herself. And
I wrote down the exact quote. She goes, this is my fault. I've asked far too much of you. So to save the winter show, I'll just sing the song myself. Like, it's this moment where she's almost there. She almost gets it. And she's like, maybe we'll just sing Deck the Halls instead. But instead it's like, nope, I'll just have to sing the original that I wrote. There is this very small subplot that I'm interested to see if they build upon, where the school district AV guy and Ava are flirting a little bit. And she's talking about how Barbara hijacking the show has ruined all of her plans to, like, she's like, I was planning to give out a bunch of Christmas gifts to people, and now I can't do that. And he's like, well, you could just give out winter gifts and wrap them in snowflake wrapping papers. She goes, wasn't looking for suggestions. And
was just looking to complain. Was not looking for suggestions.
And he goes, is that angel on the tree bear a striking resemblance?
Specifically looking like you? I mean, that's the type of character that Ava is, though.
It's funny. It is an angel that looks like she found an angel that looks exactly like her.
I absolutely cannot stand that woman, but also she's one of the funniest parts of every single episode.
Well, because I'm sure for you, it dances dangerously close to reality sometimes.
There was a point where, like, Teddy's in love with this show.
Yeah.
And there were moments where I said to her, like, I can't watch this with you.
Yeah.
Because it is dangerously close to real life. It is dangerously close to real life. I've come around on it. This year's definitely been a little bit better than last. So I've definitely.
But you still had those administrators that are very self-centered.
Yes, yes, you do. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Ava is that she's
that bitch.
I'm very excited to see where things go with this. It's funny because Teddy's in the middle of season 3, so I was watching some of those episodes yesterday.
Yeah.
So like all I was doing while I was watching these two was being confused about timelines. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what's going on here?
Well, so something that I guess you may have picked up in this episode, but I don't know if it's happened in season 3 just yet, is now Jacob lives with Melissa.
Yes, Jacob's living with Melissa. That was happening in season 3.
Okay.
And knowing that and seeing that Gregory and Janine. Gregory and Janine are together now and having their first Christmas the following episode.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see as well.
Yeah, Gregory and Janine are kind of like almost non-existent characters in this first
especially
episode.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like the Gregory plot is literally just Gregory needs to cut his hair.
Yeah.
And the Janine plot is that she doesn't know what the step team is going to dance to.
His hair didn't look that bad.
No, it looked perfectly respectable.
His hair looked great.
But like I said, we got the Melissa storyline where she's trying to store all the food for her Christmas party, which will be a part of next episode.
Yes.
But I love that at one point the people who run the kitchen come over and they're just like, why do I have 20 pounds of calamari in my fridge? And she goes, how do you feel about making calamari chowder? And he just goes, terrible.
Yeah. How do you feel about some calamari chowder?
But the Jacob storyline might be my favorite storyline in this particular episode, which is that his brother shows up. He's always felt like he's in the shadow of his brother. Yeah. Because like his brother, and he's got a lot of trauma back home, which I'm glad that they don't like shy away from that or try to make it all better in this episode. But he always feels like his brother's undermining him. Yeah. And there's some wild moments. Like his brother's just like in the back of the classroom making comments while he's teaching, which is like wildly inappropriate.
And that's anything. Nothing makes you more uncomfortable than someone coming into your classroom that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And it can even be a friend. Like the other day I had another teacher come in my room and was just hanging out.
Unless you're there as a guest speaker, get the fuck out.
They were on planning, and I finally looked at him and I was like, dude, it feels like you're observing me. Like you can't be in here. Like I hate it. I hate extra people in my room when I'm trying to teach. I feel like I'm being judged at every moment, and Jacob kind of was.
Yeah. Dylan, I'm going to tell you, and this is not comparing trauma, the only time that I've ever had to teach or attempt to teach was for a week in a juvenile detention center with 2 guards and an advisor standing in the back of the room watching me for 5 straight days.
I can just feel your sweat. Like, I can feel it. I know exactly what you're doing.
Have I never told you about this story?
I don't think you've told me this story.
So I was asked if I would want to teach a week of podcasting classes for a local juvenile detention center.
Is that something that people in juvenile detention centers are interested in?
No, turns out. So I showed up, and on day 1, they could not have been less interested. But what I did pick up on...
you don't strike me as somebody who is getting the attention of people who are in juvenile detention centers. Like, I'm not sending Matt Kelly to speak at prisons.
So all they walked in and they saw a soundboard and some microphones, and they were like, yeah, we're going to make music. And then I had to destroy those dreams and be like, we're going to talk about music into a microphone.
You should have pivoted real quick.
Well,
like, you're damn right we're going to make music.
Well, so I didn't pivot that quick, but I changed the entire course by the next day where it was a music class now, and we were going to use the soundboard to record rap songs. But like then I turned it into like the first half of the day, we're going to analyze rap songs and discuss like what we think is good or bad about them, and I would provide them like a series. But then I was also told that they all had to be clean rap songs, which made it dramatically more difficult to do. But I mean, it actually turned out really great, and they like recorded a bunch of songs, and I like mixed them and then would play them what they had recorded the next day so that they could hear like.
Well, that's fun.
But my favorite memory was when I'm doing the like playing rap songs for them to critique.
Yeah.
Right? I did 2 songs back to back, and it was Black Sheep's Choice Is Yours. That you can get with this or you can get with that.
Yeah.
And then I did the Fugees' Fuji La, I think is the one I did for that.
Yeah.
So
what year is this?
This is like a year or 2 ago.
Okay.
Like because I was like, they wanted to listen to like little trap and like all this like stuff like that. I just made up a rapper,
bro. Listening to you try to pull someone out of your hat.
Well, because I was about to say Lil Nas X, but like Lil Nas X would have been fine. They wanted to like listen to like way more. They want
to listen to like NBA YoungBoy and like
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when it was like old hip hop, they were already like, this sucks. This is terrible.
Yeah.
But the part that I'll always remember was this big black security guard sitting in the back of the classroom, never said a word to me, always looked miserable to have to be there for like a couple hours. Yeah. And I started playing, I put on Black Sheep, The Choice Is Yours, and he goes, oh, shit.
And you looked at him, you were like, thank you, man.
Well, and then the kids were like, man, that was doo-doo. That was their review of the song. That was doo-doo. And he goes, no! He goes, that song used to get the parties going back in the day. Like, he got, like, all defensive.
Bro, I love old heads. Like, that stuff is so funny.
And then when the Fugees came on.
They defend it. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And then similarly, when I put on the Fugees, he got really excited. And then when they started saying that it wasn't that good, he was like, that is Miss Lauryn Hill up there. He was like kind of interrupting the class.
I'm going to miseducate you, bro.
It was the best. Anyway, we've definitely got off the plot a little bit here.
It's okay. I mean.
But you know what? It does tie back because podcasting class is where Matt shed a couple tears.
Yeah.
When they asked Jacob's brother to be on their podcast for Podcasting Club.
Yeah.
And Jacob busts it up. Because he's like, I'm sure he's just embarrassing me in there.
Yeah.
And then Gregory plays him.
Hold on. I think we are too... Not we. I think this show is too hard on Jacob in this episode.
A little
because every single time that Jacob is seeing something, it is him being cut down. They do treat him like shit. I know the eventual reveal of the podcast is like he was actually being not an awful person on the podcast.
I think the point. I'm gonna defend this for a second.
Okay, I just get tired of Melissa treating him like shit. Like I understand.
I think,
but
the
to
point
invite
of
your
the
brother
scene
to the thing,
yeah. The thing with the brother, I think it comes down to this. I think what the brother is saying that's important is that he always admired and looked up to Jacob and sees Jacob as like one of those strong people.
Yep.
Now, I've mentioned this to my own brother because no one dunks on me harder than my little brother does.
Yeah.
And he has told me I do it because A, it's very funny to dunk on you. And he goes, it's mostly funny to dunk on you because you are such like a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
That it's like you have to make outrageous shit up to like make it even a little bit funny. Mm-hmm. But he's like, also because you're such a nice person, it's more fun to make fun of you. And I think that's kind of like, I saw a lot of my own brother in Jacob's brother, where I was like, he's making fun of him because like to him, he's like, this guy's so great. He's never gonna like think that I'm serious or that this is how I actually see him. He must know that he's this good guy. But like the reality is that a lot of people, I can say for myself, I spend a lot of time thinking that I am a piece of shit. So like when someone jokes around that I'm a piece of shit, I'm like, see, I knew it. Like
You're like, please calm down. Like I know. I think I'm a piece of shit every day.
Yeah, stop calling me out. It's embarrassing.
But I did find myself getting just a little annoyed, especially with like as soon as Melissa invites his brother to the fucking party. But Melissa's just an asshole. Like that's kind of the character.
She's just a Philadelphia asshole. And I wish I wrote down all the lyrics. We finally get to the show.
Yes.
And Barbara freezes. She just can't. She
lost her voice.
She lost her voice. She's frozen. It's not good. So very quickly they call an audible and they let the kids sing their song. And I wish I wrote down all the lyrics.
What's the name of the PTA guy? Because
I can't remember.
He is easily my favorite character.
He's Janine's ex.
Teddy! What's the name of the PTA president? That was Tariq. Easily one of my favorite characters. We were watching an episode yesterday where they're doing like school funding and he pays for like sushi for the entire PTA staff and they can't afford to send kids on a field trip.
Yeah.
No,
he
Tariq's
rules.
my favorite.
Hey, it's Jonathan London of the Geekscape podcast, and I want to tell you all about the first official Geekscape comic book, Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy. This is equal parts sci-fi fantasy, comedic adventure, and pro wrestling entertainment told in a nostalgic style. If you're a fan of 80s films like Conan the Barbarian, Krull, Willow, the Beastmaster, and comedic mistaken identity movies like The Army of Darkness, Three Amigos, and Galaxy Quest, you're gonna love Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy. That's right, I wrote it about my younger brother Paul London, former WWE Cruiserweight and Tag Team Champion. But in this story, he's now washed up, down on his luck, and then magically transported across the universe to a distant planet of sword and sorcery. Once there, he's mistaken to be the hero of the prophecy, destined to free an entire kingdom from the evil sorcerer Ramzar. This is 26 pages of full-color pro wrestling fantasy comic book adventure. Podcast listeners, this is a comic for you. Go to herooftheprophecy.com to learn more. Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy.
But yeah, so he's like, let's just call an audible. Let's let the kids do their song. And I wish I'd written down all the lyrics, but I just know the opening line is, snowmen are scary, hot chocolate makes me fart. And like the song, kind of a banger. Like
it kind of hits. Like they're like, because I can't remember. Doesn't they stomp pretty well to it?
The step team stomps to it and keeps the rhythm going. It's great. And then we get our closing credits scene where Gregory is getting his hair cut, but his normal barber isn't there, and he finds out that the man currently cutting his hair is actually Ava's father.
Played by Keith David.
Oh, shit, yes. Then we jump to season 4, episode 8, Winter Break. And I love to know how accurate this is. The bit where everybody is coming into the school to steal different things. So, like, Janine's there taking the toilet paper. I love Ava just grabs a whole ass tree.
Ava taking the fucking tree and then looking at them and going, "What? Do you expect me to buy another tree?" is hilarious. And I have thought about taking the tree that's in my classroom, bringing it home. Now, to be fair, that is our tree, regardless. But I've thought about it before. I've ended up back in the school over break, not to steal things, to pick things up that I've forgotten.
Yeah.
But I cannot say that this is accurate. Sorry. Unfortunately,
okay.
I don't see a lot of people stealing things.
Unfortunate, I guess. Most of this episode is really focused on Melissa hosting this party for her family. She's trying to get in the family's good graces since they shame her for being the divorced one in the family, the single one. And we're also following Gregory and Janine having their first quiet Christmas together. One of the funniest and most heartwarming moments in this whole episode is they're walking to figure out what to watch, and Janine says, like, well, you really wanted to watch Muppets Christmas Carol, and I really wanted to watch Elf, and I think our perfect middle ground, and then completely in sync, they say, Tim Allen's the Santa Claus.
And I get it. I somehow in my head follow that logic.
100%. It's like, yeah, that's the neutral territory between those.
That's neutral territory. Everybody, like you're gonna, especially if you are a person of this age, you're gonna want to watch that. Like, you're like,
and it's not. Sure. Yeah, it's not a movie that anyone's going to be like, shut that off. I fucking hate this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Although I do believe they also end up changing to...
They were
going to watch Santa Claus 2.
Yeah.
What's-his-face hadn't seen it. Gregory hadn't seen it.
But then she makes him put on a matching onesie, and then he wants to watch basketball instead.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to wear this.
Gregory's not being a team player here.
No. You absolutely. The onesie is part of the cookies and watching TV.
Yeah, I don't understand. But then again, neither one of us are Gregory.
We're not Gregory. I love one of my favorite lines in this episode is when we go back to the party, right? Yeah. And like Melissa has already warned Jacob and his brother, like, my family can be a little much. And Barbara and her husband come in, and her like racist uncle makes a really offhand comment, and Melissa starts yelling at him. But the part that makes me laugh is Jacob just comes running in from out of nowhere and just goes, wait, I've been preparing for this my whole life. and then he's standing in front of him and just goes, all right, what am I supposed to say? But then, I mean, as if you like didn't start to like the brother a little bit, the way his brother like comes to his defense when this man makes even like the slightest homophobic comment towards Jacob, does fill your heart, because the vibe that you get is Jacob left his parents because they were not supportive of his. Yeah.
Oh my God, it made me tear up so much.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was this episode or maybe the last one. It's just when the brother looks at him and goes, I'm not mom and dad. I'm not.
That was the last episode, but that was,
Oof.
Yeah. And I like that's the angle they went with. They didn't go with the like, no, mom and dad still love you and wish you'd come home. Like, no, sometimes that is just unfortunately, that's how it is.
Sucks.
The other reoccurring bit that is very, very funny is Mr. Johnson just going house to house, dropping off Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve, dressed like Santa Claus. And I love that he goes, for Janine, I got you socks for your big ass feet. And Gregory, I got you this book. And the book's called How to Have a Personality. Oh, it's so good.
Back at the party, I love the bit, for some reason sticks out in my mind, is when Melissa looks at her sister Christine and just goes, it's not even dinner time yet and you're drunk already. And she's like, I'm not drunk, I have Bell's palsy.
She goes, that doesn't explain the other side of your face. Yes. it's Melissa's family.
Melissa's great.
Melissa's so good. It's so the one joke that I have with Barb is like when we were watching this show, she was making me watch the show because it's one of her favorite shows, and she kept saying how much she's like Janine. But with every new episode, I'm like, you're Melissa.
Yep.
Like, you're the sassy, angry Italian why? Like, what are you talking about? And this was like because now I've spent time with her family. Like
you get it.
Yeah, they are like traditional Philly Italians. It's very funny to me. Ava shows up to Janine and Gregory's, kind of crashes the whole thing, makes them watch.
I'm pretty sure they watched You're Next. So.
Yeah, yeah, they watched a slasher home invasion movie
that people are killed in where the killers are wearing animal masks.
Yeah, so it's either the Strangers or You're Next. Meanwhile, back at Melissa's, it's possible that the grandfather has died.
That shit is so funny.
And I love that Jacob's panicking and he's trying to give him mouth to mouth and he's going, "Breathe, you bigot, breathe." So funny. But then in like the least shocking twist, Melissa's trying to keep anybody from knowing that he died because she doesn't want to ruin the dinner. She's like, let's just get through the dinner and then we can let the people know. But unfortunately, in Jacob's in Jacob's panic, he was also hitting the life alert button.
Yep.
And that notified a local facility that something bad was happening. So eventually
Mike O'Malley shows up.
Yeah, eventually Mike O'Malley
Mike O'Malley.
Eventually Mike O'Malley shows up and they have to confess that there's a dead man upstairs, except, surprise, he's not dead. And Jacob's brother's like, I checked his pulse and everything. And he shows how he put his
fucking forehead.
He puts his hand on his forehead. He goes, and he moves his hand down here and he goes, oh, well, in that case, the racist homophobe dude, you have a fever.
Because I think at one point he puts his hand on Jacob's head and goes, oh my God, you don't have a pulse either.
Ava is driving Janine up a wall. Gregory has told her, I know that you're saying you have no family and you have nowhere to go. I met your dad.
Yep.
And Ava kind of astutely is like, don't tell Janine because she'll go into what she says. She'll go into her weird little Christmas self-save.
She'll try to save me. And she's like, I don't need a reunion with my father. I just need you to understand that it's just not a great situation.
But let's be honest, you don't cast Keith David for him not to be in an episode where they reunite. So
so that's definitely coming next season or the second half of this season,
sure.
Yeah, which at this moment that this is coming out is out. So I'm super excited to sit down and check out that Always Sunny episode that has apparently dropped. So
Ava has this heart-to-heart with them, and she's finally like, look, this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. And Janine's like, of course you can stay. And then it's revealed that she was
just hanging out waiting for a party to start.
Yeah, there was a party by that house that was happening.
Yep. Ava once again proving that she is Ava.
Yeah. And then the very end of the episode, Mr. Johnson has finally made it to the North Pole.
Yep.
Which is, of course, the strip club that he goes to every Christmas Eve.
Santa Johnson.
I actually think I like this better than even the holiday hookah episode that we did.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that these are really fun. So yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do this. Dylan, the big news that we have here is that I think this episode is officially the end of our new Christmas content coverage from 2024. So starting next week, we're going to be diving back into the vintage, nostalgic, grasping at straws content that y'all have come to know and love.
But the stuff that we definitely like. Not that I didn't like this, but I do feel like
it's a dice roll.
Ourselves to the 2024 releases has been a week of that's fine. That was fine.
How optimistic were we? Like, look at us in September. If you go back to our text threads in September, it's like, oh my God, this Jack Black movie's coming out.
I know, dude.
We were like, this is going to be excited. Unbelievable.
2024 is stacked.
Yeah, we're
Jimmy Fallon's putting out a Christmas album.
We're like, this shit might go all the way until March or April for us this year.
We definitely have at least a decade worth of films coming out of Red One.
Yeah. Well, we just got, for lack of a better term, we just got it beaten out of us. Like we were, as it went on, listeners, I can tell you that the planned schedule went almost until March, and just little by little we were like whittling them off. Like, let's not do that one.
We'll get to the new Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie eventually.
Oh, for sure. And it was actually, I watched it. It was great. Like, well, not
I'm
great.
Sure we should have probably watched it over some of the other stuff we did.
Possibly.
Again, if I could go back in time and say, hey, instead of listening to that Jimmy Fallon record, watch that Lindsay Lohan movie.
Well, see, the irony, though, is that, like, I think, with the exception of Hot Frosty, because there was a lot of buzz on Hot Frosty, the Christmas thing that got the most attention was, like, Carry On, which, from everything I've heard from, like, Christmas movie nerds, is like barely a Christmas movie.
It is.
Like,
so it is less of a Christmas movie than Die Hard.
Yeah.
Even is. Like, there is not a lot of use of. I feel like with Die Hard, a lot of the soundtrack is Christmas songs, and same thing with Die Hard 2. And I feel like we don't really get that a lot here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Again, going on with the rest of everything that's come out in 2024, it's fine.
So
like,
the quote from my
awful.
sister, we were texting about this, and she said, like, she's like, I don't know if she's like, it's fine, but I'm never going to watch it again. And I said, because a lot of critics are saying it's the best Christmas movie of this year. And she responded with, goodbye. It's not even a fucking Christmas movie. It just takes place on Christmas Eve, and they threw a couple songs in the background.
Yep.
Like,
yep. Now, to argue against that is we've covered movies that do the same thing, and we thoroughly enjoy them.
Listen, I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Exactly. That was going to be my argument.
I watch Go every year. Even
like
the other night, we watched Shop Around the Corner, which is like an old black and white movie that takes place around Christmas time, but it's barely about Christmas. Like, it's just... And that's fine. Like, we talk about those movies too, but sometimes setting is slightly different than plotting.
It's fine. Like, again, following the trend of 2024, it's a perfectly serviceable movie. It's
an
worth
option.
It's worth a background watch. Like, throw it on if you're trying to figure out something to watch this Christmas and you've already done the heavy hitters and you just want something on while you're cleaning the house or something. You can't go wrong with it. And I think that's a lot of the stuff we've covered this holiday season.
This was a rough one. Hot Frosty was probably the only of the movies that we watched that I would maybe watch again next year. Red One and Dear Santa are not getting a rewatch in 2025.
No. And what's really unfortunate is, like, in the midst of our 2024 watching season, I started watching some stuff that I had missed before. For example, one of the things I watched last night was The Holdovers, which we have not covered on here, and we have to.
Oh, it's
great!
Like,
it's coming next. Probably next holiday season, because it's a heavy hitter. Oh my god!
It would. That would be
now
really
something I will watch this movie every year from here on out. It's so good.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I think it would be good for us to do that one close to Thanksgiving, because it almost feels like it could be Thanksgiving or Christmas in that coziness. Yeah, I loved The Holdovers when I watched it. And that was one that I didn't watch until January of 2024. Like, I was catching up with it for Oscar season reasons and not for Christmas season reasons. Well, Dylan, next week it's back to what we do best.
Yay!
Love you, buddy.
That everyone who has listened to us so far continues on this journey as things start to slow down just a little bit. Just remember to keep that joy of Christmas in your heart for 365 days a year. I love you, buddy.
I love you too, buddy.
Oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday, have a great holiday, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.